Alrighty, so there's a second part to this work. Now, this was from a previous semester. I just want to do one little follow-up here. In addition to the things I want you to update, like your GitHub profile and your Canvas profile, right, is I want you to place that image into your reply here. That's part one of your work. Okay, so I just want to show you before I move on to talk about part two, is I already got my image. I worked through the workflow, right? So I placed that image. I'm going to go there in a second, but I placed my image out on a directory, created a directory called IMJ, and that's the name of it. And then I used the Git workflow to then have it out on the web, right? That's really part of what we're doing, is just reinforcing the idea here. In order to place that into your reply, and notice how I actually, well, you can't really notice, but I will tell you what I did is I made this a little smaller, right? There's various free ways to do that. So if you need some help with that, let me know. But here's what I'm going to do is I want to right click, and I'm on Chrome here, and I'm going to say copy image address. And then in the reply, I'm going to show you an easy way, but there is, by the way, if you haven't taken client-side JS, right, or just HTML in general, there's pretty easy ways to write the code that we're about to have Canvas generate for us. And if I paste that in, and then if I put my name, right, what it will do is I'll automatically look at the dimension size, and then if I hit update, it'll place that image in there. By the way, worth knowing, HTML here, is that if I click that, if I wanted to write it myself, this is what I would have written. Image source, the URL for the file that I copied a minute ago, an alt tag, and the width and height. Okay, so I want you to do that in your post. I'm not going to, just because, well, you've already seen my photo. All right, so let's talk about the second part of this. So one of the things, and it's a really important part of this course, and I'm recording this before the start of the semester, but this was also true for the client-side JS, the CIT93. And there are 2 times during the semester, and I point to this is built into your Canvas shell already. But I'm going to name them dev 0 and dev 1, right? Because arrays are 0 indexed, and just a fun way, 0 is the first one, 1 is the second one. But you're going to have 2 of these. And what you're going to create is you're going to create something based on something you want to actually create based on what we're learning, okay? Based on what we're going through in Andrew's course. So Andrew's is going to build a Node app, okay? And he's going to show us how to use command line arguments and a little debugging. So at the end of section 5, before we move into 6, or around that time, right, you're going to have to create something. So you obviously will not create a note because he's done that. So what I'm going to do is show you what I created for the last time I ran this class, as just kind of an idea, because I'm actually going to create something new for this particular semester. Okay, so just wanted to give you that update, is like just to help you understand. And by the way, this is worth 50% of your grade, a really important part of this course. And so I will have the requirements listed probably within the first week or 2 of the class, so you have that idea of what that's going to be. But in general, what I could tell you is it's going to follow what you're learning. So in this case, the last time I ran this course, I ended up writing, and there's 2 files for this, and I've already created the subdirectory devo, and I've created it for B4. So this is when I've done it before. And there's an app.js and a real coin. So that might give you a clue of what this was. And it was the idea of, Bitcoin. But I obviously, with this program, and I wouldn't expect anybody in this class to implement full Bitcoin. I implemented one part of Bitcoin, which was the open ledger. right? So, and here's again, there's a supporting, and you're going to learn about this, is the idea of modules and how to have external modules that you reference in your code. And I don't want to cover too much of this because you're going to get this in the course as we follow through, but I just wanted to give you an idea, because the point of this assignment is to get you thinking about what you might want to create. So obviously you want to create something that is of interest to you, something that gets the user input, processes that input, and creates output. So for my particular one, what I ended up doing, and you're going to learn this command line arguments, you're going to learn this stuff, but if I run my app, right, and I pass it an account, like if I can say it, and I can kind of see this here, or you can see this, is I have the ability to do new, I have the ability to do transactions, and I have the ability to do balance, right? So these are commands that I can then run. So if I wanted to do bal, which is balance, and then I wanted to pass it, I think A was the account, and then I pass it an account name, right? What it would do is show me, right, that person, in this case, me, right? But I had original account set up with 100 coin, and now I have a sender and a receiver. So I sent Jack, which is another account on my system. I sent $20, so now I have 80 left. So it obviously doesn't have to be really complicated, but the idea is that you're taking something that you want to create and you're writing code for that. And this is really where I've talked to a lot of different people, and I know this to be true. This is where you really learn it, because through the Udemy course, you're going to get introduced to this code, and you're going to code along, and you're going to get a certain amount of experience there. And then each week we do a learn together, where we take and we actually start helping you in these learn togethers get to some code that you would then take to the next step with the develop at zero, dev zero. Okay, but we'll start working on that after this first week. So the first week I'm just introducing the concept, but week 2, 3, 4, and in this case, because it's going to be due here in this week as we cover the next section, that's the one thing about a 9-week class, is that not only do we have important milestones, but we also continue to consume content. So that's one big suggestion I'm just going to have, for you, is wherever possible, work ahead. Because if you work ahead in this code up, then you can go back and review code. And oftentimes after you've went through a section and you review the code you write, that might be really helpful. I think it is really helpful. But anyway, coming here is that each week we're going to have a learn together, where after week 1, like I said, 2, 3, and 4, we will actually work on, maybe 2 and 3, we'll work on the concepts, help you start creating some of that base code for your develop at zero. Now, for the 93 class, I ended up, for the client side, creating a simple rock, scissors, paper. But I was thinking about like what I might actually do here in the command line to do something similar. But I don't know. I need to think about that, which is the whole point of this assignment this week that I've introduced, which is the idea is, now that you understand you have twice a semester, you have to create something from your own concept, like come up with the idea and then create code that accomplishes that idea. Okay, so I want you to, now that I've introduced that, give this some thought. Now you don't have to be committed to it after this week, but starting next week you will, because it's going to move really quickly, right? So that's the first develop it. The second develop it that we'll talk about as we get there, we're actually going to create an API. What's cool about this is I'm actually probably going to end up whatever, and I say you'll probably do this, whatever you use for this first develop it, or the dev zero, you'll probably take into creating the API. But at that point, you could actually choose, because we're going to get all the way to section 12 here. But before that, we're going to learn some other really fun stuff about making asynchronous calls to APIs and doing other things. But for the actual creating something that 50% of our course, right? This might be an interesting idea to take what you've done here and put it into creating an API for that. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. That's part of what you're going to learn in this course. Okay, so that's what you need to do for the second part. So you do the first part, and now now that you understand hopefully a little more about this, you can give us what you might want to create, right? Because again, he'll create a note app. I've had students do a variety of things here. And it's really like something, and do something that you're interested in is always the best, because it's more fun to work on something you're interested in. All right, I'll talk to you later.